In today's lesson, we are going to be rereading our poetry, Silly Poems. At the end, we will be creating our own poems. Let's go ahead and get started. In today's reading lesson, we are going to be talking about poetry. Poetry uses the sounds of words to show pictures and feelings. Some poems use rhyming words and others patterns to make them fun to read. The text focus we will be focusing on is rhythm. Rhythm is a pattern of beats in a poem. Sometimes you can clap along with the rhythm of a poem. Try clapping along with the poems in this selection. What I would like for us to do is read the poem alone in parts and then together in other parts. What I mean by this is look at these different colored labels. The first is a green label that says Reader 1. The blue label says Reader 2. The orange label says both. If I am Reader 1, I will read this sentence. If you are Reader 2, you will read the next sentence. Then where it says both, we will both read it. Let's try this. I'll be Reader 1. Reader 1 says, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" Now you're Reader 2. Read this sentence. It says, "I want to fly like a bird." Now, we are going to read this together. Read along with me at home. I need my partner. Let's try reading this flying poem together. Read it with me. Wouldn't you? If I could go as high and low as the wind, as the wind, as the wind can blow, I'd go. By John Ciardi. Great job reading that poem with me. Let's look at another. Now we talked about how rhythm is our text focus. There could be different kinds of rhythms to everything. I think I found a rhythm that I like for our poem, Wouldn't You? The rhythm I could do, if I could go as high as low, as the wind, as the wind, as the wind can blow, I'd go. That's a rhythm that I made. You could try to make your own rhythm as well. Now let's read another poem together. I'll be Reader 1, and you'll be Reader 2. Let's read another poem. Your turn. This says, "Who is more afraid, the elephant or the mouse?" I'll read the first 4 lines, you read the rest. So reader 2, that's you. You get to read the first 4 lines, and then I'll read the rest. So you will read down to house, then stop. You read elephant, elephant, big as a house. I'll read, they tell me that you are afraid of a mouse. And if we were to read the poem together, we would read it, elephant, elephant, big as a house. They tell me that you are afraid of a mouse. By Langston Hughes. At the bottom of the page, it says, write a silly poem. Use rhyming words and feeling words in your poem. Use words that tell what things look like or sound like. Then read your poem aloud to somebody. We have talked a lot about rhyming words. For example, cat, mat, sat, fat, that. All of those words rhyme. They all have the same ending sound of at. Now, a feeling word, that can be a word such as happy, sad, excited, terrified. In our poem, it used the word afraid to show the character's feelings. In our poems we are going to write, we also want to use words that tell what things look like or sound like. These can be called descriptive words. If I am describing a carpet, I could say, the blue, soft, and fluffy carpet felt like a giant cloud. Now, when I used all of those words, I bet some of you were able to picture maybe what that carpet would look like and maybe even feel like. If you want to describe what something sounds like, you could also use descriptive words to describe it. If I say, the man talked in a low and scratchy kind of voice, you might be imagining that his voice may sound like this. A low and scratchy kind of sound. Let's work on coming up with some ideas for what we could write our poems about. Now, for this part of the video, I am going to show you how you can write a silly poem. If you would like to be working on your poem as I am working on mine, you can. But if you would like to see a good example of what to do, then just go ahead and watch. So all I'm going to use is just my notebook. You can use your notebook that I gave you, or just a regular sheet of paper. And I am only using this kind of writing utensil so that you guys can all see it. But if I were you, please do it in pencil. So, since I'm going to be writing a poem, and I'm going to be rhyming and also using feeling words and also descriptive words, that's a lot of things to be thinking about. So a pencil would be a good idea. So, the first thing I'm going to do, I want to think of a word that I can use that I know I can make a lot of rhymes about. At least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 other words that can rhyme with it. My favorite example word is the word dog. Dog can rhyme with so many different words. Log, hog, bog, cog. There's already a good amount there. The word that I'm going to be rhyming with is the word sand. Sand. So now I have to think of, what do I want my poem to be about? And I also have to remember I need rhyming, some descriptive words, and also some feelings words. I think I'm going to start with saying, I play in the sand. So here's my first sentence. I play in the sand. Next, I could say, it makes me feel grand. And feeling grand, that can mean you feel really good. You feel happy. So far I play in the sand. It makes me feel grand. So I have already used some rhyming and also a little bit of feelings. And if you want to use this format in your poem by saying it makes me feel, you can think of a feeling word that rhymes with the word that you picked. So now let's see, I also need to add some descriptive words in here. So I have, I play in the sand. It makes me feel grand. Next I could say, I sink in my hand. If you've ever played in a sandbox or at the beach, you can sink your hand really far into the sand. So again, I play in the sand. It makes me feel grand. I sink in my hand. Next, I think I'll say, and then I walk on this soft land. So this last part I said, I sink in my hand, and then I walk on the soft land. And soft is a good descriptive word because I am walking on the sand still, which can be very soft. Then I think I'm going to add one more sentence. I'll say, next, I hear a band that makes me stand. And your poem does not have to be as long as mine. I just love rhyming, and I wanted to see how many words I could make in my poem. So one last time, it says, I play in the sand. I'm going to underline the words that rhyme. Sand. It makes me feel grand. I sink in my hand, and then I walk on the soft land. Next, I hear a band that makes me stand. And this is my example of my silly poem. I had rhyming, some feeling words, and a descriptive word. Now I want to see what kind of silly poem can you make on your own paper. So first what I did, I thought of a word that I really wanted to rhyme together, which was sand. Then I made sure that I could think of at least maybe 2 or 3 other words that rhyme with that word. Then as I was writing, I added in some feeling words and descriptive words. And I came up with all of this. Again, yours does not have to be this long. I just want us to really practice our writing skills and making some poetry of our own. I can't wait to hear about what you all write about in your poems. To end our reading video, I wanted to read our decodable, Rosebud by Mary Martinez and illustrated by Benri Huang. Now, if you would like to begin working on your poem now, you can either pause the video and listen to our decodable after you have finished writing, or you can listen and read to our decodable now and then write your poem. The choice is up to you. I am now going to begin reading our decodable, Rosebud. So if you would like to read it with me and then watch your poem, you may. Or if you would like to pause the video and listen to it after you finish writing, you can do that also. In our story, be looking for compound words and also words that have the short E sound, using the letters E-A. So let's get started. Reading Rosebud. My mother had a big white boat. Mom's big white boat was an old sailboat. Mom let me name it. I chose Rosebud. Mom got red paint and paintbrushes. We painted that name on the boat. I painted a red rosebud. So the boat's name is Rosebud, and a rosebud is a small flower. Did you notice the compound words in our story so far? The word rosebud is a compound for the words rose and bud. Also the word paintbrushes. The word paintbrushes is a compound word for the words paint and brushes. Mom and I went sailing. We sailed in the daytime. On nice days, we set sail at sunrise. Sometimes we sailed all day long. We had a lot of compound words on this page. Did you notice them? Daytime, sunrise, and sometimes. If it rained, we stayed inside the boat. We played games. We read. But sailing was more fun than being inside. When the sun peeked out, we'd go up and sit topside. The sailboat rocked and we sang songs. We sang, "Row, row, row your boat." One time, we went on a long trip. We sailed and sailed. It was sunset, but it was not bedtime yet. The sun's rays spread. The sea glowed yellow and red. Then, no more rays. The sun had set. It was time to head to bed. It was bedtime on Rosebud. What a wonderful story for us to get to read, to practice reading and listening for compound words. Remember, if you have not got to complete your silly poem yet, to do that for part of your lesson for today. I hope to hear that some of you want to share your silly poems with the class. I would love to hear what you all came up with. All right, my friends. Well, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. If you have any questions about your silly poem or about anything we have gone over in our lesson, please let me know and I'll be able to help you. I'll see you later.